Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. In verse 185 of Surah Al-Baqarah, the Almighty has clarified why fasting is to be done in the month of Ramadan. And we have seen that the reason the Quran mentions is that it was during the month of Ramadan that the Quran was revealed. That is, the first revelation of the Quran was done in the month of Ramadan. In fact, it was a night of Ramadan, Laylatul Qadr, the night of Qadr, when the first Wahi divine revelation was revealed. There is another important thing that the Almighty is mentioned in verse 185, and that is a repeat of what's mentioned in the earlier verse, that if during the month of Ramadan somebody is taken ill or is traveling on a journey and therefore is unable to fast, and it's going to be difficult for him to fast, or there is some such similar reason that prevents a person from fasting with ease, without much difficulty, then a Muslim is allowed to fast in later days in place of the missed fasts because of illness, because of traveling, or some other reason. In the last verse, there was an alternative provided to people who could afford to feed the poor by feeding one poor person for each fast missed. But in this verse, that permission has been eliminated, it has been removed. And it seems that the Almighty has now mentioned that if you fast and miss some of your fasts because of genuine reason, then you have to complete the number of fasts in later days. Now, because this is a concession, the Almighty mentions that this permission to fast in later days is because yuridullahu bikumul yusr. God wants ease for you. Wala yuridu bikumul usr. He doesn't want difficulty for you. That's an overriding principle in all matters of Sharia. The Almighty wants us not to find ourselves in unnecessary difficulty. God's message is simple, doable, and easy to follow. And this principle is mentioned, something that was followed by the Prophet himself. It is said that whenever he was presented with two options, he would always go for the one that was Aisarahuma, the easier of the two. Whenever he would send his representatives to some distant places for collecting zakat, for example, he would guide them with this advice that when you're dealing with people, yassiru wala tuassiru, make things easy for people and don't make them difficult. But dubashiru, and give them good news. Wala tunaffaru, and don't make them stay away from religion because of strictness. Don't make them wary of religion because of your behavior. So that's the real principle that should be always be followed by people who are presenting God's religion. Strictness, difficulty is not the goal of God's religion. It is ease, comfort that's important. Because God wants us to be morally upright, to enjoy our lives within the limits of decency, morality, and religion, and thank God and become good humans, become good Muslims, become God conscious, etc. So, for that purpose, it's ease that would help in achieving these goals and not difficulty. So, that is another important message of the verses that are talking about fasting during the month of Ramadan.